The housing correction is over. Well, this is according to RBC, who has put out their fair share of reports and predictions for the Canadian housing market. And back in July of 2022, RBC said that now expects the average home prices across Canada to decline by approximately 12% from the February peak by early 2023. Multiple months of price growth in the GTA definitely line up with the statement that the correction is over. But for me, not enough time has passed in order to make such a bold statement. If you're a returning viewer and subscriber, thank you. And if you are new to the channel, please consider subscribing. My name is Macallum and I am a real estate agent in the city of Toronto, and I run our team which services the GTA, and we help our clients buy and sell homes every single day. If you'd like to chat with me individually about the Toronto real estate market, you can go to the first link in the description of this video and book a meeting directly into my calendar at a time that works best for you. And if you learned anything from this video or want to see what type of real estate content I release next, give this video a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. My goal is to hit 500 subscribers by the end of 2023. Before we get into the article from CP24, which references RBC's report, I want to make one thing very clear, because I know the bears in the comments and everywhere will be calling this out. The real estate market typically starts out strong at the beginning of the year, especially during the spring, hence the spring market. Prices and number of transactions tend to be highest during the spring. Let me know what you think of the most recent real estate news surrounding prices. Do you think this is all seasonality, or do you think we're in for upwards pressure throughout 2023? The article starts off by saying a housing correction that RBC once called historic appears to have run its course, and sellers are now back in the driver's seat in most major markets, a new report from the bank suggests. At least in Toronto, sellers do appear to be in the driver's seat once again. And not just driving a 1986 Toyota Corolla, they're driving a Ferrari. And no knock on the Toyota, because that's a reliable car, but it is not a Ferrari. Depending on the neighborhood and home type, we're seeing multiple offers on properties and homes are selling for over asking. Specifically in the East End of Toronto, if a home is relisted after holding back offers these days, something must have gone terribly wrong with the listing, or there are many blatant structural issues. The article then goes on to state, RBC senior economists said that spring 2023 increasingly looks like the turnaround point for Canada's housing market after a year-long slump, with home sales across Canada rising 11.3% month over month in April. Earlier tentative signs of a turnaround in Toronto and Vancouver were confirmed in a big way in April. Home resales jumped 27% and 25% month over month, respectively, rolling back roughly 1/4 of the correction in one go. It appears buyers are quickly regaining confidence in both markets now that the Bank of Canada has paused its aggressive rate hike campaign. I think buyers have become far more comfortable with purchasing a home in a higher interest rate environment. It seems reality is kind of just setting in from a buyer's standpoint. Dealing with the fact that interest rates are higher than they previously were, they need to just adapt. And the Bank of Canada taking a pause on hiking rates has definitely spurred buyer confidence. We'll have to see how the Bank of Canada responds in the future. But if TIF goes with a 25 or a 50 bip hike at any of the near future meetings, how much will that really curb spending and rising housing prices? And I say that because rates rose drastically and quickly. However, we're now in a situation where housing prices are seeing upwards pressure without a rate decrease. The article further goes on to say that RBC had said as recently as December that the GTA had become a buyer's market, despite demand-supply conditions looking reasonably balanced nationwide. That, however, appears to have changed. Interestingly, we haven't really been in much of a buyer's market throughout 2022 and 2023. Statistically speaking, from a months of inventory and sales to new listings ratio, we've been hovering a balanced or even seller's market. Nevertheless, the market has changed, and we are very much currently in a seller's market across all home types in the city of Toronto. The average price of a Toronto home was still down 7.8% year over year in April, according to the latest data from TRREB. But we'll get into these specifics in a minute. April's widespread vigor is a surprise to us. While we did expect the market to reach its cyclical bottom this spring, we thought it would take a while for the heat to return. Our view was and remains that the significant loss of affordability in the past year would keep buyers timid for some time. First-time buyers in particular continue to face major hurdles. Perhaps soaring immigration and the boiling hot rental market are becoming the primary driving forces fueling homebuyer demand. In which case, we could see prices extending April's gains, possibly materially. The article notes RBC was surprised by how quickly the market heated up. But I'm not. Well, I am somewhat, but with so much demand waiting on the sidelines, it was only a matter of time after the rates were paused. I think, as it always has been for decades, people find a way to own real estate. It may be more conventional, as taking a variable rate to afford the property, borrowing from the bank of mom and dad, or something less common like buying a property with a friend. But people seem to always find a way. When we saw the massive uptick in real estate prices in 2021, people were not shying away. In fact, they made it work and will continue to do so. A 2022 report from my brokerage, Zolo, showed 55% of home purchasers accessed funds from parents, relatives, and partners' families to form their down payment. And 18% of home purchasers accessed funds from an inheritance, including advanced inheritance. The article goes on to recap the GTA housing costs throughout the years by saying the average price of a Toronto home across all property types peaked at 1.334 in February of 2022 before dropping to a recent low of 1.037 million amid an aggressive campaign to push up the cost of borrowing. The average price of a GTA home in April was up about 11% from the market's low point. 1.153 million is where it currently stands now. In other words, the GTA real estate market has increased 11% in a matter of months. And we already know the May data is going to look very positive from a year-over-year and month-over-month standpoint. Stay tuned for a video on that data next month.